about Tampa Bay. You're listening to the PewterCast.
Welcome to the PewterCast. I am Brent Allen, your host, coming to you on a very special Thanksgiving night episode. Joined, as always, by my good friend, my longtime co-host here at the PewterCast, Ren, stuffed full of turkey Dax. Ren.
Nope.
Happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yes,
Are you a ham guy? Is that what it is?
I haven't celebrated Thanksgiving in 7 years.
Really?
Cheryl works.
Yeah.
She works she works Thursday. Thanksgiving falls on Thursday every year.
Right.
We don't have Thanksgiving. It's just the two of us.
Right.
And, you know, turkey's not really anyone's favorite meat.
You're not lying about that. I mean, I'm sure it's somebody's favorite meat out there, but that would be like the outlier.
Yeah, like turkey farmers.
Right.
But we just,
So what do you normally do for things? God, we've been doing this for how many years now, Ren? I've never known this about you. What do you do for things? Is it a Chinese food order? Is that what you're doing? Or
I watch football, and we usually have something nice on Wednesday because she always has Wednesday off.
Okay.
So last night we did coconut curry braised short ribs with we sauteed up some Brussels sprouts that we quartered, and then put some Gruyere cheese in there and bacon and melted that off in the oven with some mashed potatoes. So
interesting.
So, but then the night before we had Dungeness crab. So I've been basically like eating short ribs and Dungeness crab all day. Watching football. That's what I do. Is I watch football.
Right. Which is let's face it, the real way one should be spending Thanksgiving Day, which is the best thing to be thankful for. Ren, when was the last time, or has it ever happened, you would know this, that the Buccaneers played on Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, they played Dallas. And the only reason I know this so well, I know that they played Dallas, and this was back in the Super Bowl area, the Derek Brooks's thing. The only reason I really know this is because they just talked about it on Rick Stroud's pod. It was Tony Romo's first Thanksgiving Day game. He threw 5 touchdowns, and they beat the living crap out of us. And Brad Grodkowski was our quarterback and went 10 for 20 with no touchdown and 2 picks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, they're saying
I remember
Dallas 2006, and we got killed. Yeah.
I remember being so excited. I remember when you're little and you grow up and you watch these Thanksgiving Day games, and you're not a fan of Dallas or Detroit. Now they have this third game, which isn't being played this year, but you're like, why do they get to play on Thanksgiving? Like, when do my team get to play on Thanksgiving?
Right.
And it's only happened once, and we got embarrassed. So
there you go.
Primetime game.
There you go. Well, I just mentioned the chat room, so I want to give a quick hello to everyone who is joining us live, whether you're on Periscope, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're at youtube.com, you're watching us on the website at thepewtercast.live. Hello to you guys. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there, wherever or however you are, or in Ren's case, are not celebrating this particular holiday.
I'm celebrating. I'm just not. I did say I wasn't celebrating. I'm just, not traditional way.
Yeah, there you go. However you're doing it or not doing it, whatever. Welcome to the show. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've gone through the day. Lots of people have done the family stuff. Lots of people have, cooked the food, eaten the food, loosened the belt, watched some football. And what a better way to end this than to talk about everything that is going wrong with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It's their own fault, man. It's their own fault.
Right.
I'm thankful that I have a platform and be able to bitch how bad my team is trending downward right now.
Yeah.
Because it's all over the place. I mean, we have no, there's no worry for lack of topics on things that are not like where you're like, that's not good. That's not good.
Right.
So
right. And at the end of the day, we're still 7-5, and that could go sideways real quick if something doesn't happen. And we'll talk about it. I mean, thankfully we still have.
You say 7-5?
So 7-4. Where are we?
7-4. Yeah,
7-4. I mean, thankfully, Thankfully, we still have 2 Atlanta Falcons games coming up and a Detroit Lions game, I think, coming up.
And a Vikings game.
And a Vikings game coming up. So, the Bucs, like, even on a bad day, could still end like 11-5 by the time this whole thing's said and done.
12-4.
Or 12. Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad season. Like, for everything that we're going to be bitching about here over the next hour, that's not a bad season.
But also, it's not guaranteed. I mean, Minnesota.
That is also true.
Detroit is terrible. They are spiraling.
Yes.
Atlanta's improving.
But they're still terrible.
Well, I mean,
they're improving, but they're still not good.
They can still put points on the board.
Yes,
they can. That game against the Saints was kind of an anomaly. Can we? Yeah, but we can also lose the game 35-32.
It's true. It's true. As we just witnessed this past Monday night. The thing that I think the context that this starts really applying is I'm not worried about the rest of the season. To be quite frank with you, I'm not. The Bucs are going to make the playoffs this year, right? Like probably right. I mean, no one has a crystal ball, but I mean, yeah,
I would bet yes.
There you go. And probably lose money. It'd be a negative wager on the
right. Yeah. I have to spend $120 to make 5.
Right. Exactly. So the Bucs are going to make the playoffs. What we're really talking about here is what's going to happen when the Bucs get into the playoffs. Yeah. Because those are, for the most part, except for that NFC team, whoever's going to represent from there, these are going to be good teams. And the Bucs cannot continue to play in the playoffs as they have now and expect them to do anything and make any real noise.
They've only beat 2 teams with winning records.
You texted me that this week and I couldn't believe it. And then I looked it up and I was like, damn.
Yeah, the Raiders. And we killed both teams. It was like 2 of our best games. The Raiders and Green Bay. Yeah. Everyone else that we've beaten aren't good. And all the other teams that we've played and lost to are good.
Mm-hmm.
So we're 2-4 in teams that are any good. And Chicago's very debatable. The record was good when we played them.
Right.
So really, like, we're 2-3 and we lost to a bad team.
Yeah.
So
happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Yeah. So Ren, we have a list of topics. You and I just sort of sat down before the show and said, okay, here's this. Let's talk about this. Let's get this out in the open, because these are going to be the things I think that we're going to track over the next 6 weeks, 5 weeks. What do we got? We got 6 weeks left.
5,
season, right? 5.
Well, 6. One's a bye.
6 weeks with a bye, right? So we're going to track this over the next 6 weeks for the rest of the season because of how it's going to mean for the playoffs, and watch what's going to happen for where we're going. And the first topic we're talking about is Bucs trending down. Are the Buccaneers, or specifically which players, are beginning to trend down, Ren?
Well, that's the thing. Like what I talked about, this is sort of like the general theme of the show is it's, like, are the Bucs trending down? And what we just talked about, how the only teams, that they've beaten, only beaten 2 good teams, or 2 teams with winning records. Mm-hmm. And they have a losing record against teams with winning records or / good teams, and then they choked away a victory in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So they're trending down, because what we're going to talk about they're not these things. Yes, it's things you should worry about going down the road, especially, when you get into the playoffs. But these are things that have been happening all year, for the past 4 weeks, past 3 weeks. Like, these are things that are holes that need to be fixed on this team for them to be, at least have favored for more success down the road. The way they're playing now, and all these things stay the course, all these topics we're about to talk about, like, the playoffs are not a lock. And, like you said, unless you play whoever wins the NFC East, which, if these trends stay this way, you're not going to get, because you'd have to be the 5th seed. Mm-hmm. And, we would end up be the 6th or the 7th in place. I mean, like, a division winner like Green Bay or whoever it may be. So, so that's what we're going to talk about. So I guess, the Bucs trending down question mark is like, they're trending down, and here's why. And we're just going to sort of talk through these things, and some of these we're not going to have any answers for. Like, I have no idea. But these are just, problems that as Buck fans and hardcore and Sunday couch coaches,
Right.
armchair quarterbacks that we're gonna yell and moan and cry about.
I want to say this too, because we from time to time talk about this on this show. The idea that as a fan you are going to be biased towards your team, which yes, of course you are, but I also posit the theory and the idea that being a fan also can give you the most true analysis of a team, like the most honest analysis of your team, because when your team is sucking, when your team has all these holes, you point it out.
Yeah,
you can go, there's an issue, there's an issue, and you don't have blinders onto your team. And I think that's really the place we're approaching this from, is not from a place of unbiased analytics,
no,
but a very biased, but also very honest analysis of what is happening with this team right now and where is this going to go. So
yeah, all these things have been brought up by other Bucs fans, by us, by media members, by national media. These are all things. Now, some of them have gone away. Some of them now have come back. And these are things that, we have to talk through and figure it out. And it's like, is this a big deal or is it not a big deal? Or like, what's the best way to cover this up? Or are we just going to have to roll with this? Like, is this going to affect the draft next year? Like, what are we, like, what's going on?
Right. So with that, Ren, why don't we go ahead and jump right into it? Our first topic of tonight, we're going to ask all those questions.
Yes.
What is up with Brady's deep ball? I mean, his arm, he just doesn't have the arm strength. Oh, wait, that's not the issue. What's up with Brady's deep ball, Ren?
Well,
because he's not connecting. Bottom line, he's not connecting on the deep ball.
He's not connecting on the deep ball, and they keep throwing it at a high rate. And, he was fantastic the first half of the year, first 4 or 5 games of the year. You can go look up the stats now. I think he's 0 for his past 49. That's a complete exaggeration, but I think it's in the 20s. If it's not, it's like 19. Like he's 0 for like 19 on passes that travel 20 yards in the air. And we saw it during, the Rams game, where they kept pushing the ball down the field against a team that plays a whole shitload of cover 2. And we saw 2 bad interceptions by Brady, and I've heard a bunch of people talk about this Rams game, but no one brings up the third interception that the safety dropped, that Mike Evans had to push the guy. But even if Mike pushed the guy, I mean, the ball hit the dude in the chest and it bounced out, and then it hit Mike in the helmet. Would have been nice for Mike to have been looking at the ball and catch it and walk into the end zone, but that would have been one of those luck trick plays. So he made the right move by pushing the guy and trying to break it up. But by the time he touched the guy, he'd already dropped the ball.
Right.
So no one talks about that third interception, that because the guy just can't catch. And those were all on deep balls. And you went in there, and even as people like us who don't know what we're talking about football, when we can get compared to coaching staffs around the NFL and college and even high school, like, I get it, but we all can see that. And everyone knows that you play 2 deep zone because you're not going to let people try to throw it over the top. And they continue to do it. And with not, getting any of them, and some of them were 2 picks. He threw Mike out of bounds one time. The other pick that was dropped. So now now it's 2nd and 10. Or now it's, or now maybe they try it on 2nd down. Then, okay, so now it's 3rd and whatever it was. It's 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 3. Now time to take the deep shot. Well, now it's 3rd and 3. Right. So these deep shots, when they're not connecting, is starting to put the offense really behind the chains. And that's something that I've noticed this year, that the way that Tom Brady runs this offense, or likes to run this offense, or how I think he does best in this offense, is staying in front of the chains and taking the 7-yard, 12-yard chunks at a time while running the ball up the middle and off the edges, and then taking the deep shot. But I mean, like 2-3 times a game, unless it's working. They shouldn't have taken any against the Rams. None. The middle of the field was wide open for them all night long, and they didn't go to it till they needed to. They went from their own, 20, boom, boom, midfield, deep shot, game over. And it was like, okay. So, what's up with Brady's deep ball? I don't think that he's lost his touch. It's definitely not arm strength. It's just they're not connecting, and really the question is why do they keep doing it?
You know what it really reminds me of? Is it reminds me of Jameis Winston trying to hit with Deshaun Jackson. And what we saw for that, what was here, 2 years? What we saw for those 2 years, it never connected. That, like, very, very rarely did it ever really work. And could you really explain it? Oh, well, Deshaun doesn't like Jameis, or Deshaun's quitting on the play, or Jameis, isn't putting it where Deshaun can get it, or whatever. And frankly, I don't care why it's not working. They never figured it out. And that's why Deshaun Jackson's not here anymore. Frankly, that's why Jameis isn't here anymore. Tom is here, and he's going to be here next year as well. Mike Evans is going to be here next year as well. Chris Godwin most likely will be here next year as well.
Right.
And Scotty Miller is going to be here. Antonio Brown, who knows? But the core of wide receivers are going to be here next year. So I would anticipate there being at least more chemistry or something next year than there is this year. But the problem is not his arm strength. Everybody keeps badgering on about the arm strength, and I still see people talking about his arm strength. It's not his arm strength.
Really?
It's accuracy. Yes. Yes, people in the national media are still talking about arm strength.
Oh, okay. I might say you're on Facebook again, aren't you?
No, I'm on TV and other places.
Even worse. No.
But they do that. Like, people are still, but it's not arm strength. It's accuracy. And look, here's the thing. I can't really tell you how much chemistry has to be involved in all these things. I'm sure it does on some level. But regardless of that, if they can't get this figured out here over the next 6 weeks, they got 6 weeks till the playoffs. If they can't get that figured out, this is not going to, or make an adjustment to where they're not really throwing the deep ball that much.
Right. Just throwing it to keep them honest. Not,
right.
Yeah.
Or I mean, Brady did seem to have a bit of a connection with Scotty Miller. Now, I get it. Scotty's been replaced by AB since he got here.
Right.
And damn it if Brady didn't look like he was forcing balls to AB, much like we have seen another quarterback force balls to, say, Mike Evans or somebody else from time to time. But listen, go back. I don't care who AB is. If the connection's there or not there, we know it was there with Scotty. So you got to go with what works. I don't care who somebody is or where they are. If the connection's working, great. If it's not, then don't. The connection was there with Scotty. It's not been there really with anybody else, and that includes Mike.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, even Chris has still been, he's not been as popping this year as he was last year, but I don't know. He's been hurt most of this year. It's hard to get a gauge.
It's hard to get a gauge. Like, when they target him, he does fine.
Right.
But there has been sort of some of these clutch plays where you needed him and it didn't work out. You're like, what?
Yeah.
And those are the ones that stick with you, and you kind of forget when it's 1st and 10 and he goes 18 yards up the seam and catches it, and it's 1st and 10, like, you kind of forget about that one. And with Mike, they just haven't, like we talked about it, they haven't targeted him. They targeted him in 2 games besides the Rams game, was both the Panthers games.
Yeah.
Like, those are his 2 most targeted games and his 2 best games. And they targeted him, even against Jalen Ramsey, and Mike was, he was coming up big, and he tried to run the ball. Did you see that?
No, I mean, when Mike pushed and fought his way into the end zone, and what was it, the first quarter, second quarter of that game?
Yeah.
I mean, my God, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, the stadium erupted when that happened. And
they quit throwing to him right away.
Right. Now, this is what I don't know. And this is what I'll never know. I know when they send in a play, the play has lots of options. There's lots of reads, all of these kinds of things. We sit here and say they don't target Mike. And my question is, how much are they not targeting Mike versus how much is Brady seeing Mike and going away from him, or just not seeing Mike, or whatever? Right. I don't know what the right answer is there. And I don't know what mix of it, because it's probably some sort of a mix of that altogether.
It's all Brady.
You think so? You think it's all Brady?
It has to be all Brady. I mean, we've
because he doesn't like Harry Potter or tattoos, and Mike Evans is both, and he hit on Giselle, right?
That has all been debunked. But no,
breaking news, folks.
Breaking news. Tom knows where he's going to go with the ball more times than not before the ball snapped because of what he sees on the defense. And what he sees is that Mike's, has the possibility of being clouded, bracketed, doubled, this, that, and the other thing. If he sees one-on-one, then he throws it to Mike,
Yeah.
So, but like you said, we've seen other quarterbacks, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm throwing it to Mike and it works out. Especially, inside, past certain 20. Right. And even if he was, one-on-one with one of the best, like he was against Ramsey in the Rams game, it still worked out for Mike.
Yeah.
Like he's nearly impossible to cover one-on-one. So I don't know. It's almost like there's too many mouths to feed, and we'll get to this. This is one of the topics, but there's no flow to this offense. It's like, okay, look at the stat sheet. Oh, Chris doesn't have any targets yet. They throw him the ball twice in a row. Okay, who's next? Cam's been in like 9 plays. We haven't got him the ball. Here's a play for Cam. Oh, wow. We haven't run the ball too much. All right, get 2 to Rojo, and then Leonard, you're going to go in. And it's not about, it's like they're trying to, it feels like, obviously it's not true, but it feels like at the end of the game where you look at the stat sheet and everyone's got the same amount of touches and we win. Like that's like, we think that's the formula. But the rhythm of this offense and the flow, it's very grab baggish. I mean, it's like someone running from a sandworm on the planet of Dune. That's how smooth it is.
Right. Look, I've been watching this team for a long time. I've been watching I've been covering this iteration, like the core of this team for as long as they've been on the team.
Yeah.
You want to know what the key is to winning? You get Mike a shit ton of balls. You get Rojo a shit ton of balls. And then everybody else and then when you get in the red zone, give it to Brady. Like that's kind of it. Like, that's how we win. That's what works. And Peter Sorensen over in the chat room said this. He's like, it's like they seem more concerned with getting the deep ball to work instead of winning.
Yeah.
Like they're more concerned about whether this stuff works rather than, okay, what does it actually take to win the game? What does it take to put those points up on the board and stop other people from scoring? And instead of doing all this other stuff. So
it's Fournette's turn.
Yeah. It just
Jesus, halfway through the second quarter, we haven't thrown a ball to AB. What are we going to do?
Well, speaking of that, let's go on to this next topic.
Yeah.
Why the love for Leonard Fournette?
God knows. I bet God doesn't even know. I bet.
Right, because God's up there saying, I'm telling you to go to Rojo. You're not listening. Go to Rojo.
Rojo gets 20 touches. He goes over 100 yards. Bucs have won every game but one. He got like 107 in the Chicago game. Should have won the game. Right. So, I mean,
Chicago was an anomaly. Let's just remember that. I remember that about Chicago was this weird like amalgam of just stuff that you're like,
we're up 13-0 with 2 minutes to go in the half, and then we're down 14-13, and you lose 19-18.
Right.
Like it was just, it's like,
a weird game.
And they had one that drive that had, I think, that 67 yards of accepted penalties. Like it was crazy.
Right. There's like 4 penalties in a row or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But Leonard Fournette, let's talk about it. Now, listen, I was all on the Leonard Fournette train when he first signed here.
Yep.
I have not been for weeks now.
No.
But I have been pounding the table. Rojo gets 20 carries a game, 20 plus carries a game.
Touches.
That's touches. Yeah, that's what I mean. Touches a game. That's the number. And you know how that breaks down? It's not that hard. That's about 5 touches per quarter.
5 times 420. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's not that much, folks. It's really not.
Which means about
60 plays a game.
About 2.5 touches per drive.
Right. You get about 60 plays per game. That's a third of your plays. You're saving 2/3 for everybody else. It's just a third. Like 20 touches for one guy, for Rojo a game. And guess what? He's going to pop the big ones. We're going to put those points up on the board. And we're not going to be worrying about this down 3, stuff when we get to the end of the game. Cause it's just, but why? Rojo had the week that he had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This week he goes in, he drops the ball and they sit him like it's 4 weeks ago.
5 touches in that game. 5. They did not run the ball at all. The run was working like as well as it could against the Rams. The Rams are very good against the run. But every time they ran the ball, they got positive yardage. Kept them honest, keeps you in front of the sticks. They even started, banging on the edges a little bit instead of between the tackle, and it was working. Every time Rojo got the ball, he got positive yardage. Fournette, not so much. 5 touches for Rojo in this game. In a 3-point loss, 5 touches. I don't even know how many times we ran the ball in the third quarter, but it wasn't a lot. And we also had the ball 27 times in the third quarter. That third quarter took an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It took forever because neither team, all they did was punt for the whole quarter back and forth to each other.
Yeah. It is unexcusable. And I don't know who holds the coaching staff responsible for this. Look, I don't care what kind of swag BA and his staff come in with. I don't care how many years of combined coaching experience, how many coaches of the year they've got. I don't care. This is it is egregious.
Yeah,
to do that.
It's bordering on like malpractice,
coaching failure.
Yeah,
to allow that to happen. And this is where I don't know if it's Jason Light, I don't know if it's ownership, but somebody's got to step in and at least demand an answer. And I look, I don't watch all the press conferences anymore, so I don't know if the press is asking these questions.
Yeah, get this. Go
ahead.
Fournette dropped 3 passes that game against the Rams, right?
And he stays in.
Well, I don't even care about that, but they asked him what's how's the running back's inability to catch the ball? How's that kind of clogging up the offense? And he, and basically he defended Fournette and said, well, we need, one of those was not his fault. He dropped 2, but he's got great hands. Comes back on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about how the screen game got to get better. And the first thing out of BA's mouth, the running backs have to catch the ball. And it's like, well, which one is it, bro?
Right.
Is it it's Tom's fault because he fired one too low. All Fournette should have been caught. Rojo's got on him real quick, and I don't mind BA's explanation. Should have Rojo caught it? I don't know. By the time he turned around, the ball was hitting him in his bicep. I mean, Tom fired a fastball. He could have put some air under it and given him a little more time, but I can understand him wanting to get the ball there. But the other 3 from Fournette are just I know he's your third down back, but I don't know why, because everything that he's supposed to do that Rojo can't, he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. He has more drops
than Ronald.
He has more drops than Ronald. He can't the gap between Rojo and Fournette in running the balls or running back is like this. And this is how they are separated by receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep putting the guy in the game.
It's inexcusable. And the only answer that I think I would accept is Rojo got hurt, and so we had to take him out. If there's not a legitimate reason
it was their game plan.
I know.
Their game plan was that Fournette gave him the best chance to move the ball.
Yeah, that's wrong.
No shit. Wrong. I know.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, it's it's
Look at this. You guys have so pissed Ren and I off. We are arguing over what we agree on.
Yeah.
We are in lockstep on this, and we're bashing each other.
You're not upset enough.
Oh my gosh. It's inexcusable. One more thing on the offensive side we want to talk about.
Just one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On our list of stuff. Everything else is defense
or
other stuff. Why the lack of offensive rhythm? This team has no offensive rhythm.
Yeah. I think I kind of covered it when I said, I think we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
But it's so throw a bunch of plays that Tom likes into a hat and just pull them out one at a time. Or what I talked about, how, at the end of the game, everyone has the same amount of touches. AB's a little 3 behind, so we're gonna have to throw him 2-3 balls in a row here.
Right.
And I know that's not it, but it seems obviously they have a game plan, but it seems like they can't stick to it. And there's two reasons why it's happened. Early, it was because they kept running the ball up the middle on first down.
Yeah.
First down, run up the middle. Now, lately, and it's because he's not connecting. So I get the argument from the coaching staff would be, well, if Tom hits the deep ball, then because like take the Rams game out, okay? Like he hasn't thrown interceptions on this deep ball, and even in the Rams game, one went off AB's hand. There was it the Saints game? No, I think it was a Panthers game where AB broke out early. Tom threw him the vert, and AB kind of trailed off because there was no safety on the side. There's a little miscommunication there. Like he was wide open. Like these guys have been open and Tom's just missing him. So it's like, well, why should we change the game plan? Because, Tom Brady can hit a deep pass, obviously, then we can keep rolling. But you're putting yourself behind the chains, and it seems like they don't have a backup plan when one play doesn't work. They don't use the middle of the field, and it's either a deep ball or they run a route right to the sticks. And it's to Gronk or Brady or Mike. It's like, okay, it's 3rd and 5. Everyone run a 3.5 yard or a 5.5 yard route.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can go, like you're allowed to throw the ball past the sticks.
Right.
When you're trying to get a first down, you're not trying to take the deep shot. And then there's, we've talked about the run game, how they've abandoned it. They abandoned it in the third quarter when the game was tied. They tied the game.
Right.
And it's just, I don't understand. And I'm sure there's some kind of explanation for it, but I don't think there's going to be a good one. There's no continuity. It seems like, well, we got to figure out what we do best. And, we don't know what we're good at yet, but, we're 11, 12 weeks into the season now. And you got to have some idea. And it feels like they start over after every drive,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, here's our game plan, drive 1. Okay, that worked. We'll try more of that. Drive 2. Okay, that worked. Okay, here we go. Good. Drive 1. Here's the game plan. Didn't work. Okay, what do you want to do now? I don't know. It's like there's no sort of cohesive plan. It feels like from play to, it's not even drive. It's like play to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily like it's a bad play call.
Right.
It's just they're not doing if I feel like they're not taking what the defense is giving them, which is so shocking because that's what Tom Brady is here to do.
Mm-hmm.
And running all these deep routes and just stick routes and completely ignoring the middle of the field, combined with the running backs not be able to catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like, remember when Fitzpatrick came into the game one time, we were watching a game and we're like, oh man, that felt good. It was just, it's just like the whole edge of like every time Jameis touches the ball, there's going to be a turnover, went off. Like you just felt better as a fan.
Yep.
Like the feeling of we're going to win wasn't there. The feeling, it's just like, okay, this guy's not going to lose us the game, or at least he might, but I don't feel like that's going to happen. Right. I feel Tom Brady is pressing all the time. Like I feel like he's in a bad mood all the time. I'm on edge all the time, and that's the exact opposite what I thought it would be. Like the Saints game opening drive, like I was like, oh, okay, like that's to do. But I didn't think we were going to win that Rams game. 2.5 minutes, 1 timeout, Tom Brady. I didn't think we were going to win.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I heard BA say this. I don't know if it was today or maybe yesterday, one of his press conferences. And by heard, I mean, I saw on Twitter somebody reporting that he said this. Actually, I think it was Pewter Report. Asked about the offensive game plan or asked about something having to do with the offense. And Bruce Arians' response is, yeah, but we're putting up a shit ton of points. Putting up all these
talking
points.
About how his offense is antiquated.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And like, I'm looking at it and I'm just looking over the course of this particular season. I can say last year, I remember a lot of points going up on the board. It's just for whatever reason, The other team tended to have more than we did by the end of the game. Also, by the way, I remember that same thing was true when Cutter was in, and what was it? Munkin was play calling, and even when Cutter, like, the Bucs have scored a lot of points for a lot of years, and still come up on the wrong side of the scoreboard. But I'm looking at this year, there's only been twice that the Bucs haven't scored over 20.
Yeah.
And one, just this aberration of a Saints game where they just got their clocks cleaned, and then the one was that really weird
Chicago game.
But everyone else, they've gone over 23 point. Like, the Bucket, and several times they're up over 30. Twice they've been over 40.
Scoring's not the problem.
So my point in bringing this back, though, talking about offensive rhythm and offensive play calling, like, there's a part of me that kind of says, yeah, we're complaining about this, and rightly so, but something's still working, though, right? Like, they're still putting up all these points.
Right. And there's so many different ways to skin a cat. Like, I remember when Bill Parcells was a coach, I think he might have been for the Jets at this time, like after the Giants, before the Cowboys or something. And the team wasn't putting up points. And he's like, and they're talking about how his offense is antiquated.
Right.
And it's like, I've run these plays for 20 years. They've worked for 20 years.
Right.
And that's what BA was basically saying. Like, I've been being told that my offense is antiquated forever. Like, remember last year when Tennessee went on that run with Derrick Henry running the ball, and Bucs Twitter was all like, that's what you need. You need a big, running back to pound the ball and shorten the game, and don't let these other guys have the ball. This is the way you have to win. And then they go and they get their clots cleaned by the Chiefs, and it's like dead silence. It's like, you can win an NFL football game and NFL playoff games and a Super Bowl a myriad of ways, tons and tons of ways. Now, is Bruce Arians' offense as pretty as the Rams or the Saints or the Chiefs' offense with all the motion and all the eye candy and speed everywhere? No, it's not. But they score points, and it's the same thing with that. It's just execute. All you have to do is execute. Now, maybe does it make it a little bit easier to execute because the defense is sort of looking around and not, following the eye candy, and there's so many weapons, and like, not if they're well coached, like, what you're going to do. So I get the frustration, but I think it's sort of a lazy thing to point the finger at, especially when you go and look at like how many points they're scoring and then put that up against like the other teams in the league. Like, I know they're top 10. They're probably top 5 in offensive points. And that's with a game that they scored 3.
Yeah.
So, it feels very hard every time to get points against teams that aren't terrible. Put it that way. Like, there's no flow. It seems like there's this constant panic, anxiety when we play better teams. Like, even the Bears, like, because we were supposed to beat that team, but they were good.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
I believe the words that were used around that particular game were, this is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be an ass whooping.
Yeah.
Those were some of the words that were there. Okay. Well, Ren, that actually, I think, dovetails in and leads us right into the next topic.
Sure.
Kind of overall, talking about the coaching and this particular topic, are the Bucs being outcoached? We saw the thing happen with the Saints a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
We saw what happened with the Rams. Now, the Buccaneers lost the Rams game, but let's take the Rams game into perspective. And I think it would be, we could treat the Rams game like it was the Saints game, and it wasn't.
No.
Okay. The Buccaneers, that was from a watching a football game perspective, that was a good game. The score went back and forth. Different teams held the lead at different times. No team ran away with the ball at the end of the game. And by the time it all was said and done, the team was leading. The team that had the most points when the clock ran out is the one that wound up winning. It's not like one team beat the other one into oblivion,
right,
or beat the other one into a pulp. That's not how this particular Rams game went. Unlike the Saints game. I know we are all feeling like from the Saints game, but Are the Bucs coaches actually being outcoached?
They're being out schemed.
Which would be outcoached.
I feel like I'm splitting hairs, but I feel like I need to because, but maybe not. Like I've talked about how, earlier this year, like tier 1 roster, tier 1 front office, tier 1 coaching staff, tier 1 players in the important position. Here we go. I'm not sure the coaching staff is tier 1 anymore. It's their ideas aren't working. I was on a YouTube channel type of thing and we were talking off air and, or maybe I did say it on air, but I said, for the Bucs to win the Rams game, whatever scheme they come up on offensively and defensively, it has to work before adjustments. So whatever they come out, play one, offensive and defensively, whatever they've decided to do, it has to work. Or this game could, be one of these things where not necessarily get away from them, but playing catch up all night long, either because the defense can't stop the Rams or the Bucs can't score. Now it just flip-flopped. Like the Bucs offense they got the ball 4 times in the first half, scored 2 touchdowns. The defense had a hard time getting the Rams off the field. They were out schemed off, defensively, at least the Rams offense was. Lots of short passes, lots of quick passes, get Goff out of the pocket because he's terrible against pressure. And then, of course, since the quarterback's so terrible against pressure, Todd Bowles decides to rush 4. And we talked about that after the Saints game. Our idea was to rush 4 and drop back in zone and make, Breeze hold the ball. They did the same thing with Goff, but they came in knowing they weren't going to hold the ball. And someone has to explain this to me. Why do you have to wait till halftime to make adjustments? Because listen to me. The clock hits 000, right? After the second quarter, immediately that 15-minute clock starts, right? I mean, immediately. So it takes you 2-3 minutes to get in the locker, get everyone in there, right? So now we're down to 12 minutes. Someone's going to say something, coach is going to say something, then you kind of got to huddle up in your little meeting. So now we're at 10 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So now we're 5 minutes in, 1/3 of the time's gone. You're just sitting down to talk about your meetings, right? About what your adjustments you're going to make. How soon do the teams come back out on the field with time left? Because, oh, by the way, when the 000s hit on the 15, they're kicking the ball.
Right.
It's not 000s. Okay, and everyone come out of the locker room. So they're coming out of the locker room with like 3 minutes left, right? So now we're down to 7 minutes.
Kicker's already out too, by the way. I mean, not that the kicker has to be in all those meetings, but
yeah.
still.
Yeah, but he's out there. So as soon as it hits 000s, like both teams are out there set, ready to go, and the ref blows the whistle and the kickoff, and here we go. Mm-hmm. So now we're down to 7 minutes. Right. All right. If the Bucs stop the Rams or any team and they punt the ball in real time, how long do you think before they have to be back on the field? Rams punt the ball, go to a commercial, come back, Bucs go 3 and out, real time. Okay, commercial's 2 minutes. Real time will say 3 minutes on a 3 and out, right?
Right.
So now we're at 5. Punt the ball, another 2 minutes for commercials. So now we're at 7 minutes. Every time you walk off the field, a minimum of 7 minutes, which is the exact same time you get at halftime. Why do you have to wait till halftime to make adjustments? Why? That's not rhetorical.
You don't.
You don't. Then why don't they make adjust? The only time they did, they blew out the Packers.
Yeah.
They had a little speech. The Bucs from the second half defensive effort from the Bucs was great. Even though they didn't get any pressure on Goff, they quit missing tackles. Their zone coverage was tighter. They did more man. Like no one broke any tackles for long distance until they had to stop them. And what did the Rams do? They moved Goff around because they had to throw the ball deeper because they didn't have enough time because they had a shorter time period to get down the field. And they used crossing patterns and over patterns, but they hadn't done all game long. And they scored. So, yeah, the Bucs are getting out coached. I mean, you know who Paige I call her Demacos. I think her name's Demikos.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know
Paige.
how to say it. I know who you're talking about. She's the new CEO of Draft Network, and she's is she on the Bucs podcast, the Fully Loaded?
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
they're
something.
going. They went through a little change, but
Yeah.
she was a guest on with the Loose Cannons, right?
Right.
And Scott Reynolds had brought up talking about how about this topic, the Bucs are being outcoached. Like, I believe it was Christian said that, there's some media members here that are talking about the Bucs, and she went complete. She didn't go ballistic, but she defended them right away, totally dismissing the subject, telling them that they're stupid, telling them that that's not the way to endear yourself to the coaching staff. Now, to be fair to her, Christian didn't let her know that this is coming from people that have covered the Bucs for 30 plus years and coming out of the mouth of a guy who's been covering the Bucs almost as long as she's been alive, maybe longer than she's been alive.
Right.
But she kept bringing it up that it's like she went full Scientology defense, like tried to destroy, didn't even really know what the subject was, but tried to destroy it. And like, when you hear Jake Arians come on and make these excuses, and then you hear Paige come on and she blamed it on the players. She said the players weren't ready to go. You saw the game plan for the defense against the Saints. It was awful.
Yeah.
Whatever they tried to do in offense, either the Saints completely nullified it, but then they completely abandoned the run. They panicked. They went into 4-minute offense halfway through the second quarter. I get being down 28-0, but whatever they tried, it wasn't working. It wasn't working on either side of the field. And you try to say these things about being outcoached, and people from the inside are like, "You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. It's the play." Like, I don't see a lot of responsibility being taken. I think Byron did. He's like, when you get your ass whooped by that, like you want to be better, But and then you go back to all the points they're scoring. But they were out schemed by the Giants offensively. It's this soft zone that Todd Bowles will not get away from. Like, I understand ebbs and flows of the game, and it's a week-to-week league, and sometimes the defense is going to look great, and sometimes they're going to look bad. Maybe the Saints are the bad matchup for the Buccaneers offensively and defensively. Okay, fine. No big deal. But you got outcoached by the Chargers. You got outcoached by the Giants. You got outcoached by the Saints twice. You just got outcoached by the Rams. Like, what? Like where? Like, especially when you can't even identify what their offensive game plan is.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like this is where I'm starting to come to this. And I don't know. I'm merely rolling it around in my head, but I'll voice it out here and maybe try to flesh it out a little bit. Remember when Lovie Smith came in? We're going back to the Tampa 2. We're going back to that. And everybody was like, we've kind of moved on from that. And like you talk about like Warren Sapp and some of these guys of old who are like, bro, we don't play that kind of football anymore. The league has moved past you.
Yeah.
My question regarding BA and their coaching philosophy, and I'm talking about the coaching staff as a whole.
Yeah.
Their coaching philosophy, the way that they coach, the way that they prepare, whatever this game plan is that we're not even really sure if they fully have it fleshed out or not.
Right.
Which, listen, I'm going to give BA credit, at least the benefit of the doubt, that there actually is a game plan.
Yes, obviously.
I'm going to at least say that. Like, yes, there is a game plan, but for whatever it is, it's not working. And I begin to think, like, has the league figured out the BA style offense, the Todd Bowles style defense, and they have figured out where the holes are, and now they're able to just poke holes in them and completely nullify what they're doing, and they're not making those adjustments to go forward. Yeah, sure, they can still put up some points, but granted, we're missing Vita in the middle of the line.
One guy shouldn't make that much.
Exactly. That's and frankly,
and if you do, you compensate for it.
No, but here's the thing. Where have they been running on the Buccaneers since Vita went out? They haven't, right?
Nowhere.
Nobody's having big break off running games against the Buccaneers. Like, so we love Vita. Vita's great. He's the anchor of our defensive line. But they're still not running on us. Like, it hasn't made made a big difference. It's not been that big of a difference.
What's
Right?
make Vita special is collapsing the pocket and getting pressure in the middle. We don't
Right.
have anyone else can do it. We
Right.
don't. And most teams don't, to be honest.
Right. So my point being, to come back to, and this is where my brain is going, is BA at a spot in his career where he is so stuck and married to his system and the way that he does it, rather than growing and adjusting with where the league is and becoming innovative and pushing the envelope and doing new things and utilizing the players and personnel that you have. And that's what I don't think I'm seeing with this coaching staff and what I'm seeing from Sunday to Sunday as we're watching this team.
I'm the opposite. Like, again, I'm gonna go back to you can win football games any way you want to. You can go out there we just watched freaking New Orleans beat Atlanta running the ISO power eye with a quarterback. He was throwing up ducks wherever, like three people are standing underneath the deep pass waiting for it to land. Yeah. So you can win any way you want to. It's the adjustments is the problem, and it makes you feel like you talked about how being stuck in his ways. And if you don't want to believe that, because every coach we're going to put the team in the best position to win. That's our job. Well, you're not doing it.
Right.
You're not doing it. And your offensive and defensive game plan lately, past 3, 4, 5 weeks, starting the game, both sides of the ball have been wrong, have been bad,
right?
You're not putting your guys in the best position to win, or maybe you thought you were, and the team that's coming in thought already said, well, this is what they're going to do, and this is how we're going to stop it. And you do it, and they stop it. And now you're waiting till halftime to make adjustments, and it's just, I don't get it. Yeah. I don't get why you keep playing the soft zone. I don't get why you don't throw the ball more to Mike and Chris. I don't get why you will not give the ball to Rojo, and you want Fournette to be the guy. I don't get it.
Yeah,
and there's no answers.
I want to ask one more question about this coaching situation right now, and then I want to move on to some of these other topics that we have. And I've seen this in our chat room from our live people. I've seen lots of people out there in social media, not just on Facebook, Ren, for the record. I've seen this in many other places.
Okay.
But we've come to a point where people are calling for BA's job. All right. I'm going to ask you to pull out your crystal ball.
Sure.
All right. And I want you to give me this is the question of what do you think will happen?
Sure.
Not necessarily what do you think should happen?
Sure.
Okay. Do you even if let's say the Bucs skid out for the rest of the season and miss the playoffs?
Okay.
This year. Okay. Let's give it that. Do you think the Glazers go through this coaching carousel again? Because this BA is only his second year here.
Yeah.
Are we back on the coaching carousel and they fire BA and move on from him and maybe go get somebody else, do whatever? Or, are they riding with BA? By the way, BA could also retire at any point again.
Yeah.
I'll bring that out. I'll say mine first. I don't think BA is getting fired from this team. I just don't. If anything happens, I think he's going to retire early again. That's the only thing that I think could possibly happen with BA, or they actually go off and win and then he retires after that. That's the only way I see his coaching tenure ending here in Tampa Bay. What do you see?
I think if you get rid of BA, it's a colossal mistake. BA should be around as long as Brady's around, to be honest. Yeah. That's how it should go. I think mistakes have been made by bringing in all these pieces and thinking that you're good enough to be able to slot them in right away, hey, it's like they're going off the reputation of these players before they got to Tampa Bay and not really going off what they see or what they are now or what they should know what they are now. Right. Gronk's had more bad games than good. Fournette has made exactly 3 plays and one of them didn't even go for a first down. He had that big run in Jacksonville. There was a big 3rd and 13 he picked up with a little dump pass over the middle. And against the Rams, he caught a screen pass and got 9 yards. Everything else has been under 5, whatever he does. screen pass. If he drops it, catches it, doesn't matter. Can't make anybody miss. Can't run over anybody. Gets Charles. All of a sudden, he's turned to Charles Sims in the hole. Like I don't know what I don't understand that. So, but I think all the pieces are in place. I just think some sort of I don't know. Like I don't know. Don't fire BA. Don't get rid of the coaching staff. Don't but you have enough weapons where you don't have to bring in these guys. Like you didn't need a Fournette. You really didn't need a Shady.
Right.
You would have been fine with Vaughn, but you're like, it's like we signed Tom Brady, and all of a sudden all these guys start.
To be fair, they brought in Shady before they drafted Vaughn, though.
True.
So now they could have cut him after camp,
right?
Gone through that, but you're right. They didn't need some of these.
They didn't need Gronk. They didn't need AB. Like you didn't need these guys.
Right.
But it's sort of like it's like the first time you get like a managerial position, and you just want to kind of change everything. Because these are the things that kind of made me mad when I wasn't the manager. And now a manager, I have the power to change them. But before you learn that the reason those, things that made you mad pre-management, before you understand why they're there and why they're important, you start changing them all. And then all of a sudden those things start to leak through the cracks and other things start to happen. And you go, oh.
That's why it was that way. Hey, by the way, that's a good leadership tip for people. Is when you go into a new situation, before you change things, find out why they are the way they are before you make all those changes. That's just a good little good tip. All right, let's move on.
No, I got to finish up. Right. So I think when Tom got here and all these people wanted to come out of woodwork and play with him, that the immaturity as a front office staff of never having sort of this being wanted instead of like having to chase,
right?
That they just kind of went overboard and we're like, well, yeah, of course we want you. You kidding me? Like, of course, like it didn't matter if you needed him or not. You're just, it's like just add another diamond to the necklace.
All right. Well, we talked about this just a little bit. So let's move over. We're going to talk a lot more about defense for I think the rest of the show, or mostly about the rest of the show. Talk to us about Bowles loving this soft zone that he's really gotten into, which has only been the last 4 or 5 games. Because before that, it was press, go.
It was a mixture.
I don't know what in the world why they changed it. You're right. It was a mixture, but it was way more. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything should be 100% press every single time.
Yeah.
You can't play defense like that. That is dumb. And anybody who looks at it goes, why is he 20 yards off the ball every time that happens? Listen, that sometimes is the right call. When you look up and you go, man, he's playing 20 yards off the ball a lot. And that's the issue.
And it's 3rd and 5.
Right. That's the issue. Yeah. So let's talk about Todd Bowles and this whole soft zone defense that the Bucs have been playing here lately.
I have no answer for you. But I can say when like the Monday Night Football staff and the Sunday Night Football crew and the Monday Night Football crew talk about how they're playing too much zone and they have to change it up, and then say right after it, like, I'm not saying play press man all the time, but you got to do something. Jared Goff's picking you apart. You got to do something. Drew Brees is picking you apart. Like when these guys who know football, it doesn't matter what you think they can announce or not. Okay, like we all have our announcers we find annoying and we like. But like these guys like played in the league for years, or have been around the NFL for years, front office people for years. When they're going, quit playing zone, you're getting killed. Quit playing zone, you're getting killed.
Right.
But then again, that goes back to, well, we got to wait till halftime before we can adjust it. Why? Why do you have to wait till halftime?
Right.
And it's infuriating. And what's also infuriating is I was listening to the Pewter Report podcast, and John Ledger went and reached out to some Jets writers, some Jets beat writers, and asked if, he said, well, Todd Bowles is playing a lot of soft zone and he won't change it up. And all the guys went, yeah, get used to that. It used to drive us crazy. We talked about it every single week. So this isn't something that's like is going to change.
Right.
He thinks that There's certain teams that he goes in that the soft zone is the best way to win the game because running the soft zone gives him the best chance to stop the run because that's what they're going to do first. And they're going to stick with it and just let Sean Murphy-Bunting can't cover his own. Just can't do it.
Well, we're going to talk about that in just a minute, but here's my next question. Where's the pressure? Where is the pressure?
When's the last time I saw more than 2 blitzes? I know it happens.
Yeah.
But it just, with this soft zone has now come the 4. We're going to get there with 4.
What was it I saw the other day that it was something like, it was some ungodly. It was like 30% of the defensive plays had a defensive lineman dropping in coverage.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was fun and neat and oh, look at that. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then they were getting crushed on it on the outside on the edges.
Right.
When they're making Shaq drop back and JPP on the edges. Now they've actually done pretty good of late on the edges, but now the middle of the field's open and the screen passes are open. So they've adjusted that part, but I just, where are these exotic blitzes? Nothing's getting home.
Right.
Of a quarterback who his numbers are so, Jared Goff went from top 5 quarterback to bottom 5 quarterback when he got pressure and didn't. And the Bucs didn't sack him. Yeah. I think he held the ball twice where he had to double pat it, where he had to come off his first read twice. It felt like, and you're just going, that's poor scheme, man. Yeah. If you can't figure a way to get pressure on Jared Goff that every team that's played him has without their best offensive lineman, that's a bad scheme.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
JPP has gotten an interception in the last 2 games.
Yeah, he had a good game against the Rams. Great
good game. Look, I'm always down for seeing somebody.
You know what
JPP.
He didn't do? Get any pressure.
Oh, right. Well, no. But when you have a rusher, when you have an edge rusher, when you have a defensive lineman, I know technically they're not, but whatever. To see him catch an interception here and there, that's kind of fun.
Sure.
He got 2 in a row.
Yeah.
And by the way, just quick shout out JPP's tweet after that first one. A couple days later, he's like, imagine what I could do if I still had all 10 fingers.
Yeah.
Was hilarious. He won Twitter for the day, in my opinion. It was great. But still the point being, I'm all for the kind of gadget plays, the trick plays, moving people around, making stuff happen. But you can't say you're going to take your big guys up front, drop them back into coverage, and say you're putting people in the best position to win
and expect them to cover anybody.
Exactly.
Except then you have the argument JPP just did it twice.
Yeah, but JPP is a freak.
Right. And he's not Sue or Vea.
Right.
Or Golston. They're dropping Sue back there. They're dropping freaking McClendon back. It's come on, man.
Yeah. Well, let's drop back a little bit and let's talk about guy. You've brought this up quite a few times, Ren, on the show. Our number 5 draft pick from last year.
Yeah.
Devin White. The man's exciting to watch. He's a lot of fun. He's taken on a captaincy role this year. He is they send him on blitzes and I mean, man, the guy is just streaking all over the place.
Yeah.
But when it comes to playing football, can Devin White really cover?
No. He can't. He's terrible at it. What are we going to do about it? That's the question. It's not can Devin White cover. He can't. He can't play zone. He can't play man. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it right now. Not saying he doesn't have the tools, but so how do we hide that? Do you blitz him more? Do you put
him in what he's good in, right?
Do you take him off the field and actually do a play an actual 3-4 defense instead of a 2-5 on obvious passing situations? I mean, I don't really want to do that. Do you rotate him in and out with Levante David? Let Devontae sit some, let Devin sit some, and go to a 3-4 instead of a 2-5? Or, like I said, do you put him an outside linebacker in obvious passing situations? Or do you just blitz him up the middle?
Or is this growing pains for a second-year player?
Yes, it is growing pains for a second-year player. But the problem is he can't cover.
Yeah.
It's more than grow. Like he cannot cover. I'm not saying he can't, but right now he can't. He can't ever. I'm not saying he can't ever, but right now he can't. He can't play zone. He can't play man. People just run by him.
Yeah, I will give you my personal answer, and I don't know if this is the right answer or not. I think it'd be a mistake to take him off the field. So you use him in what he's good in. You put him in, and you mentioned moving him over to outside linebacker. Fine, but I don't care. I don't care what position he technically plays on the team or where he's lining up. Put him in a spot to do what he's good at. You know what he's really good at? He's good at blitzing. He's good at getting in there. He's good at causing some disruption. Let's let him do that. Now I know he can't blitz every single play. That's not going to happen.
Sure, he can. Or hey, you can always drop Sue in a spot.
Something. So, well, I mean, I don't know that physically he could do it every single play. There's
No, just on passing plays.
There you go. So anyway, Devin White. Now that being said, I don't want to take anything away from Devin White because I still think Devin White.
No, not at all. And I'm with you. Like, I really don't want to take him off the field. I don't.
No, I think that would be a mistake.
But you get into the playoffs, guess who they're throwing at? And Jamel you're going to lose.
They're throwing at Jamel Dean.
Yeah, and who's the other guy?
Sean Murphy-Bunting.
Yeah, and Let's
talk about those.
And
guys.
Who's the other guy?
Mike Edwards. Let's talk about those guys.
Wrong. No, Mike Edwards is doing great.
Who is the other guy? It's not
Devin
Carlton
White.
Davis. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I had already moved further back into the thing. Ren, what's going on with our second-year cornerbacks?
Trending down.
Yeah, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Jamel Dean are not having a great, at least let's say middle part of the season. I thought they had a strong rookie year, a strong second half of their rookie year, had a strong opening, like I'd say opening quarter. Is that fair?
4 games,
opening quarter of this, but the second quarter and into whatever this first half of the third quarter has been, they've not been stellar.
No, it happened right. Even when Sean Murphy-Bunting pulled his groin, got hurt, and it seems like he really hasn't been the same player after that. But he was still starting on the outside, and then Dean would come in. When Sean Murphy-Bunting would switch to nickel, and he'd do such a great job. So people were like, "Well, how? Why don't we just start Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting to stay at nickel?" Right. As soon as that decision was made, where Dean's starting. They've both just nosedived, complete nosedive, and I can't tell you why, but it's not good. They're trending down for sure, and there's really not a redeemable, like they haven't had any good plays at all. They either catch the ball or get burnt. Not them, but they either let get the catch in front of them, or get burnt. It was the Rams game. Ball's like at the 5. Dean's 2 yards in the end zone, playing outside leverage. Okay, well, I'll just run a slant.
Right.
I mean, you're just giving it to them. And, and is that Dean's fault? Is that scheme? Like, that's what I'm talking, where you're talking, where you scratch your head, you're like, that's just dumb. Like, you're not even giving yourself a chance to try to stop it. You're giving yourself no chance at all.
Yeah, I have no answers for this. I really don't. I don't either. And I haven't heard anybody ask about it. I haven't heard anybody holding them to the fire. Because look, here's what we know: Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting were doing really well. They were doing really, really well, and for whatever reason, they haven't been. Why? And that's a question I want asked Todd Bowles. What they have been struggling these last 6 weeks. Why? Yeah. Have you been able to diagnose it? And my God, if he gives us a dirt cutter, well, if I knew what was going on, I'd fix it.
No, he's going to say that they're learning the position but they're happy with their coverage.
No, they're not. Bunch of liars.
That's what he said about Devin White.
I'm going to bring my baseball glove so I can catch that nose when it comes flying out of his face.
That's what he said about Devin White. He was asked about that. He said he's happy with Devin's coverage, or we're happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then your bar is really low.
Yeah, look, I get it. They don't want to throw people under the bus. They're not going to answer certain questions like that. But those need to be questions that need to be held where they figure a way to phrase it.
You got to figure out a way. Yeah.
And we as fans need to hold that up.
Yeah.
So Yeah. Why? What is going on? All right, Ren. One more topic.
Oh,
One more topic for this thrilling Thanksgiving Day
this
Buccaneers
uplifting,
talk.
uplifting Thanksgiving.
Things we're thankful. We could have done that tonight.
What's that?
What are the top 5 things that we're thankful for as Buccaneer fans on Thanksgiving? But no, we decided.
I'm thankful that Brady cannot hit the deep ball. I'm thankful that Fournette is getting the ball more than Rojo. I'm thankful for Todd Bowles' recent love affair with soft zones.
Well, how about this? Are you thankful for why do our special teams suck?
I don't know. They're just not good. Like, I feel like on kickoffs, like no matter how deep Pinion kicks it, unless he kicks it like in the stands, just run it out, because I feel like our team doesn't even set up their wall till the 25. Right. So you're going to get to the 25. If you fall forward, you're to the 26, 27. So just run it out anyway. Yeah. I mean, Cordell Patterson ate him up. We just saw the Panthers game with a kickoff down like to the 2 or 3. We get no return on our punts whatsoever. Yep. When we come up against a guy that can actually return some punts, we don't stop him. It's just how many, like, Suckup's missed 1 kick, but he's got like 5 on his record because the other 4 have been blocked. And he's missed like 1 field goal. But he's got like, 2 extra points, 3 extra points, and a field goal, or 2 field goals, 2 extra points. Like, we're just missing the block punt, man.
Yeah.
That's all we're missing. And it's been like this for years. Yeah. And Keith Arnold, we're going to be aggressive. Like, remember that? We went to that thing last year. Yeah. We're going to be aggressive. Well,
you're not.
You're not. Yeah. and you're lying to me.
And you're bad. I'm sorry. You're bad. You're bad.
Yeah. And I don't want to hear this crying towel crap where, like, we only get the bottom of the roster turns over all the time. And these are the people. Like,
no.
Other teams have really good special teams, and they do year after year after year.
Yeah.
And it's really not, and there's no like scheming for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This isn't like trying to figure out a Todd Bowles exotic blitzing defense, or you don't have to change it from week to week. Remember
special teams is not trick plays.
Yeah.
It's not. Special teams happens the same way every time, depending on what, like, if you're running a punt, here's how you do punt return or punt. If you're running a kick, here's how you do kickoff. If you're running an extra point, here's how you do extra point. That's it, guys.
Yeah.
That's it. You want to get cute and fancy with a couple of trick gadget plays, fine, do that. But outside of that, it's the same thing across the league with everybody.
Yeah. And you stink at it.
You do. You do.
Stink.
You do. So I don't have a why. I'm just telling you they do. And maybe this would be a thing where I would sit back and and I don't think he's going to do it, but if I'm BA, I'm not moving Todd Bowles, by the way. Todd Bowles is staying.
No.
Byron Leftwich, I don't think BA is moving Byron Leftwich. Listen, for everybody who wants BA to take play calling back, guys, give it up. It's not going to happen.
No.
All right. He's not. The word on the street is basically that was a condition he promised Chris when he returned to coaching, was he wouldn't be doing play calling.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he's going to get rid of Byron. Byron's not going to go become a head coach anywhere either. So we're probably stuck with Byron again for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is a coaching change to happen on this staff, special teams coordinator Keith Armstrong needs to be replaced next year.
Yeah.
He just needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
And I know him and BA go all the way back to Temple. They have a long history, but he needs to be replaced. And I am officially calling for that here at the PewterCast. I need to call Scott Reynolds and see how we make that actually happen.
Now what?
Or what do we do, Scott? I called for it. I declare. Fired.
So, how do I get people fired? How do I do that?
How do we do that, Scott? How do we do that? All right. Well, Ren.
Yo. Happy
Thanksgiving, my friend.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
It's always good to spend holidays with you.
We do it a lot.
People we love. The everybody who joined us. Hey, quick shout out to everybody who joined us. The numbers have continued to increase as the show has gone on.
Right.
So hello to everyone who has joined us. live at YouTube, the PewterCast.live, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, all those places. Hello to you. And to those of you later who have made it through this far in the podcast feed, hello to you as well. We hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Ren and I are going to be back tomorrow, Saturday. I don't know what the Buccaneers schedule is given this holiday week, but Ren and I will be back here very, very soon with our Buck in the News show. We're going to talk about all the news that has come out over the course of this past week. We'll talk about injury reports and everything as we look towards this Kansas City Chiefs game, probably the biggest game on the schedule this year.
Every game's the biggest game on the schedule now.
Well, right, but just because they're the Super Bowl champs from last year. So, and Kansas City's they're going to be a tough team. Anyway, we'll be back to that. And then you guys make sure that you come back and join us Sunday night after the game. Clocks at 000. We go live to take your phone calls, your video chats. And as we discuss the game, we give our emotional, raw, instant reactions. We'll celebrate, we'll cry, whatever the outcome is, we'll go through it. We'll be with you guys on Sunday after the game. Ren, tell the folks where they can get in touch with you in the meantime.
The best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, usually down to talk about food. But since most of you decided to try to cancel lifelong friends and total strangers over stale bread, herbs, and celery that's all mashed together, do not talk to me about food.
And if you want to get in touch with me, you find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. I'll talk to you about food or Bucks or anything else, really.
No, you've lost your privilege.
Well,
if you're trying to tell people that you're not going to be friends with them anymore over stuffing.
Yeah.
You know how many times a year you eat stuffing?
Not stuffing. Anyway,
I understand that argument. I get it. If it's in the bird, it's stuffing. It's on the side, it's dressing. I get it. It's bread, herbs, and celery.
As dressing, not stuffing, personally. Anyway, we're now live across all the social medias. The show is at the PewterCast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Please keep in mind, if you send in an email, we may use your comments on a future episode of the PewterCast. By the way, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who wrote in this week as an email to say Happy Thanksgiving. That was unexpected. 3, 4, 5 of you guys did. So that was pretty cool. So thank you guys for doing that. Catch us, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, like the bell icon. You'll be notified when we go live. So you guys can make sure you join us for the PewterCast Live. Until next time, guys, that's going to do it for us. I'm Brent. That's Ren. Go Bucks.